What's good, everyone? OJ here. Welcome back to another video. Today we've got an awesome RPG discussion in addition to RPG news as well. But before we get into anything, please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, and click that notification bell to get my videos first. Now let's go ahead and talk about the 2022 RPGs that I am expecting Nintendo to announce. Now, I'll go over so many different things on this channel when it comes to RPGs. We've talked about Xenoblade Chronicles 3, we've talked about Dragon Quest: The Flames of Fate, we've talked about various different ones, we've talked about so much different stuff, but I do want to kind of break down what I'm expecting and when we could expect to see those. So you will see some RPGs that I've talked about before. Now I'm starting off first here with Xenoblade Chronicles X, and the reason why I want to discuss this game again is because you guys ask about this game legitimately every single day on my live streams, and I want to make sure that I get this out to all the new followers that are coming and also reinforce it for the people who maybe missed the videos, because I get asked this question all the time when it comes to Xenoblade Chronicles X. So we're going to keep on talking about it, but of course I'm going to layer in some new discussion and add in some dynamic elements from what you guys have to say based on your questions. So let's talk about Xenoblade Chronicles X. Is this game possible for the Nintendo Switch in 2022? That is the big thing here that everybody wants to know, because Xenoblade Chronicles X is a very unique and interesting RPG and very different from the other Xenoblade Chronicles games. Now, of course, there's similarities across the board, but there's a lot of differences, and the main hook of the game is extremely different because you can fly around in these really cool, huge Gundam-sized mechs, and they can transform and all sorts of stuff. So it's actually a really cool concept and theme, and it's the only Xenoblade Chronicles game to have functional, working online multiplayer. Like, it has it in passive form when it comes to renting out people's characters to use, and it also has it in an active participant form to where you can join up with your friends and fight against different bosses and actually get rewards, get unique rewards and stuff for beating them. It's a really cool system, and that's part of the reason why people want to see on the Nintendo Switch. Also with Xenoblade Chronicles X, which is another thing here, I want to break down some of the uniqueness of this game. This is something that I don't talk about too much, but I wanted to discuss it because Xenoblade Chronicles X was a very weird game on the Nintendo Switch, because it was the only game that I know of that actually had you, or to where you could download data packs in order for the game to kind of be streamlined with its assets. So it was a very different game in that respect. Also, on top of it, there was some issues like with the text and also with some of the dual gamepad play. Like, if you broke your gamepad, or if you left your gamepad at your friend's house, or if you couldn't find it or whatever it is, like, you couldn't fully function this game because there were certain aspects and certain gameplay elements that could only be done on the gamepad. Even though the game does support Pro Controller, it essentially becomes a two-controller game because you have to have the gamepad there to do certain elements like with the mining and everything. So I think that a Nintendo Switch port is absolutely perfect for this type of game because it gets rid of that, I would say, barrier. Now, don't get me wrong, that dual aspect gameplay can be very enticing, or just having the map right there and being able to look down at the map and see everything, then kind of go back to your screen. But there are some people who don't like the looking back and forth, and there are people who do like to use the Pro Controller. And on top of that, Xenoblade Chronicles X eats your gamepad battery alive. Now, you can get a separate gamepad battery, like a bigger battery or one that lasts longer, but that one still is nowhere near as good as this Nintendo Wii U Pro Controller. It can actually last for up to 80 hours on a single charge. So it's a very good controller to use for Xenoblade Chronicles X. Unfortunately, you know, like, you have to use the gamepad as well with it. So I ended up actually using the Nintendo Wii U Pro Controller and then also using the gamepad in conjunction. So it was a little bit annoying, but it was definitely still playable. Now, if you have that on the Nintendo Switch, they completely changed that up to where you can actually just swap between the gamepad screen and also with the regular layout, probably just like an overlay on top, just like how they did with Tokyo Mirage Sessions on the Nintendo Switch compared to the Wii U, which that game was also very similar to Xenoblade Chronicles X, to where you have to use the gamepad. So if you're using a Pro Controller, you have to use the gamepad as well. So it got rid of that problem with Tokyo Mirage, which was an issue in my original Wii U review. And of course, with the Switch version, I said, hey, this is a lot better to where you can do it this way. Now, I know that that's going to be a little bit different for some people because some people do love the gamepad usage or just have their gamepad plugged in the whole time while they play Xenoblade Chronicles X. But in my opinion, this would be a big upgrade to bring it over to the Nintendo Switch, so you do have that option and not have to worry about that with it. Plus, a game like Xenoblade Chronicles X, being able to take that game anywhere that you want, I think that's like the true freedom of the Nintendo Switch and having that size of game, because that is a true open world game. Now, we talk about open-ended games with Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Torna, Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. Those are open-ended, but Xenoblade Chronicles X is actually open world. I mean, once you get out there, man, it's just there for the taking. You can go anywhere that you want, and there's no loading screens as long as you're just going there yourself and not fast traveling. So, very impressive game. So I think that Xenoblade Chronicles X is one of those games that will happen in 2022. I think we're going to get an announcement for it. Of course, we've talked about Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and how that could interfere, but I feel that it wouldn't be like if there was a Xenoblade Chronicles 3, which I do think that. I think that would be like the main Monolith Soft Takahashi Team 1, where Xenoblade Chronicles X would be the people who handled maybe Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition and Torna, and maybe they get some help from some of the auxiliary teams with Monolith Soft, since they do have 5 separate teams or so spread across Japan. So I do think that they will be doing that. And I don't feel like the help with Zelda and the teams that are helping out with that will interfere with what they're doing, because it never has when it comes to all the different other Xenoblade games. And they've been working on Zelda for more than a decade now at this point with Monolith Soft, with Skyward Sword, and with other Zelda games. So I don't really think it's going to interfere with anything else that they're doing. Monolith Soft is a very efficient and great company. So I feel that Xenoblade Chronicles X 2022 is definitely something that you should look out for. One of the big RPGs, and this would essentially be a brand new game to so many people. I don't know the final sales tally of Xenoblade Chronicles X. I'm guessing it did around 1 million units from what I understand, but Nintendo never actually detailed how much that game sold on the Wii U, but I'm guessing 1 million units. If it came to the Nintendo Switch, I think the sales potential for this type of game is 2 million plus, because of how the Switch is and because of the type of game that it was and how many people didn't play the game. Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition sold 1.5 million plus, and that game has been played the heck and back on various different Nintendo systems, from the Wii to the Wii U to the new Nintendo 3DS, where Xenoblade Chronicles X is only available on the Wii U. So I actually think it has better sales potential than Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, and could even get up to where Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is, because of the install base of the Nintendo Switch right now and because of the type of game that it is. And especially if they make upgrades and additions, or even if there is a ending extra part like a future connected, but for Xenoblade Chronicles X, that game's going to do extremely well for that franchise. So we'll see what happens with that. Now, next up is Fire Emblem. We've discussed this before, wanted to talk about it a little bit because I feel that there's multiple different ways that Intelligent Systems could go with this. We could get a brand new Fire Emblem. Nintendo does like to announce new Fire Emblem games every 3 years or so. We get a new one. The last new Fire Emblem game was 2019, so we're due for an announcement in 2022 or something like that. I mean, we could go just one Fire Emblem game for the generation. Nintendo could hold out on that, or maybe they try something else, but I have a feeling that there is a new Fire Emblem game that could be coming from Intelligent Systems. We've also got rumors of a new Fire Emblem game as well, so I think that it's definitely possible. But what could they be doing? Well, there's multiple different options that we've discussed before in the past, and that is a Fire Emblem Echoes. So that's something like the Fire Emblem Echoes Shadows of Valentia, where they go back and take an old school game and they pretty much completely remake it, and they add a bunch of new elements to the game to make it more playable and everything, some good stuff, quality of life changes, all of that. They can do something like that, or they do something like a brand new game, like Fire Emblem Three Houses or like Fire Emblem Fates and Awakening was when those launched, and they kind of take advantage of the momentum that Fire Emblem Three Houses had, because that is the best-selling Fire Emblem game of all time, and it became that in less than a year with over 3 million units sold. So I think that there's still momentum from that. People are still even picking up Fire Emblem and talking about it to this point. You know, it's still trending on Twitter sometimes. People still remember how good Fire Emblem Three Houses was and what that game did when it comes to the Fire Emblem brand of gameplay. So I can see them announcing a new Fire Emblem game. Intelligent Systems has been quiet. It's been quite some time since they made anything. They did have Paper Mario back in 2020, but I don't think Paper Mario was made by their whole team. I think that there was definitely that separate Fire Emblem team that was cooking up something. But I think a bigger question here is that, is there going to be a partner for this game? Because Koei Tecmo did a lot of the heavy lifting when it comes to Fire Emblem Three Houses, because that game was just massive. Intelligent Systems needed help for a game that big. So are they going to do it all themselves? Is Koei Tecmo going to come back and reprise its role, even if it is a remake or if it's just a different new Fire Emblem game? I'm guessing that they're going to have some other people help out, but we're going to have to wait and see. What I'd like to see for this game is especially an improvement when it comes to whatever engine or whatever graphic systems they're going to be using. I think that that was probably one of the weaknesses of Fire Emblem Three Houses, outside of some of the gameplay stuff that you can talk about, was the visuals of the game. Looked good in some parts, but didn't look so good in other parts. So I feel that this one, now that they actually have a full grasp of what the Switch can do, and it's going to be their second game on the platform, I think they can make the game look a lot better, because there was upgrades from Fire Emblem Awakening to Fire Emblem Fates. Heck, Fire Emblem Awakening, they didn't even have feet, whereas Fire Emblem Fates, they got feet. So I think that they're going to add some graphical touches and polish to it this time around, and of course have a new gimmick or new hook if it's going to be a brand new game. But it always brings up the possibility of that remake that we've talked about, right? So Fire Emblem Path of Radiance, Fire Emblem Radiant Dawn, those two games, somehow if you can put them together in a Fire Emblem game, an Echo style of game, that would be impressive. But it would not be as good if it was just one of them and you don't get the full story of Ike. So we'll see what they do there, or even if they go with Roy or they go with someone else, they could go farther back in time. There's been rumors of genealogy of the Holy War as well, so you never know when it comes to Nintendo and what they're going to do. Nobody thought that they would ever go back and do Gaiden, right? They never go back and do Almond Celica, those old games. So nobody really thought that, even though they did have some remakes on the DS, right? They did have that, like with Shadow Dragon and stuff. So I feel that it's possible, but we're just going to have to wait and see what Nintendo does. That's why I think 2022 is turning out to be one of the most, if not the most exciting year for the Nintendo Switch since 2017. I think that it might be that big, or at least like 2019 as well. So I think that this year is going to be very interesting to see what happens with Fire Emblem. Heck, even if we don't get an announcement of something like that, I think that we still could get like more rumors or some more leaks or something about Fire Emblem. So it's going to be cool to see what happens in 2022. Now, last, when it comes to my Switch RPG announcements from Nintendo, I think Golden Sun, and I've discussed this quite a number of times on the channel. You guys have watched those videos, so thank you very much. But I think that Golden Sun is definitely a possibility when it comes to an announcement. And the reason why I say that is because they've been done with, when it comes to Camelot, they're the ones who originally make the Golden Sun games. Camelot is done with Mario Golf. They're completely finished. There's no more DLC. There's nothing else like that. I don't think their team is big enough to have like separate teams working on multiple different games at the same time. So I think that they really just finished up Mario Golf, and then they got ready, or they've been getting ready for a Golden Sun game. But if it's early in development, then it's probably further off, but I still think that it's a possibility that we hear more about it, or there is an announcement when it comes to Golden Sun, because I think that Golden Sun is one of those RPG franchises that now, with the resurgence of Nintendo with the Nintendo Switch Lite, right? Something like that, that could absolutely be a driver for Golden Sun in the new age of RPGs and how Japan is working, just the portable style gameplay. I think one of the issues with Golden Sun is that at the time that it came out, there were so many more impressive looking RPGs from a portable standpoint. I mean, some things Golden Sun did was great, but at that time, it was the Game Boy Advance. People were looking for those bigger RPGs. There was Skies of Arcadia on GameCube. There was Phantasy Star. There were just all these different things, and I think it kind of messed up. Even though Golden Sun was a portable RPG, it kind of messed up maybe the flow of what Nintendo wanted to get with that. Now, that just might be me, you know, but that's kind of how I felt the tone was when the game did come out. And if you bring that back with HD visuals and you kind of market it as that really cool portable AA RPG adventure, I think that it could have a lot more success now at this point than it did. Now remember, guys, look at what we've already got on the Nintendo Switch AA RPGs, over 1 million units sold. We've seen stuff like Monster Hunter Stories 2 do extremely well on the Switch. Stuff like Octopath Traveler. We also have Bravely Default 2. All of these games are million sellers on the Nintendo Switch and have done extremely well. That AA RPG, there is a huge market on the Switch for games just like that. So I think that Golden Sun could fit right into there if they're going to do it. If they're going to do it, I think that Golden Sun could have a lot more success at this point than it had back when it was on the GBA and also on the Nintendo DS, which I think the DS game probably kind of tanked the series, right? Because that one wasn't quite as good, and I think fans didn't really like it as much, and it was on Nintendo's highest selling system of all time and didn't do well. But I think if they brought it back the right way and kind of went off what the Game Boy Advance game did, I think that they have an opportunity to grow Golden Sun back into a million-plus selling franchise going forward. So we'll see what happens with the Golden Sun announcement as well. Now, that is wrapping it up for the RPG predictions or what we could see in 2022 from Nintendo. I'll have more of these guys, so don't worry. If I didn't talk about an RPG that you're looking forward to in 2022, trust me, we're going to get to it. But I did want to go over some RPG news that broke recently out there. So Nekcom Games will be announcing a brand new RPG, SAS, on January 6th. So that's coming up this week here. There's also a countdown website as well. So Dying Reborn and Dying 1983 developer Nekcom Games will announce Project SAS, a new RPG in development since 2016 on January 6th, the company teased. Now, the teaser website is currently counting down to its announcement. Each day, the website will be updated with a new background image and text. While 4 days currently remain, which will be 3 days at this point, the background images for the final few days, 3, 2, 1, are already hosted on the website server. So 5 days remain. You guys are seeing the different pictures here. I wonder what this is going to be. A new RPG that they've been working on since 2016. So very interesting here. Just wanted to get you guys some RPG news. I have no idea what this is going to be. I have not played Dying Reborn and Dying 1983, not necessarily my style of games, but I'll definitely be keeping my eye out and seeing what this new RPG since 2016 in development, right? That's a lot of years, 4, 5, 6 years at this point. Man, whatever it is, it definitely needs to be impressive if it's going to be in development for that long. Let's say have like a development hell or something like that. So we'll see what they do with it. Are you guys excited? Did you guys play the Dying Reborn games? Like, let me know about those because I've seen them, like I said, not necessarily my cup of tea, but I haven't tried it yet. So if you like these games, let me know what you're excited about, the potential possibility of a new game from them with this Project SAS. What do you think that could be taken from those games and put into this one to make it a really cool or standout RPG? Let me know what you guys think about that. Comment section below. All right, and moving into the final topic here, guys, CyberConnect 2. They have a brand new game announcement in February, and here we go again, man. I swear I have like the biggest love-hate relationship with CyberConnect 2. Honestly, I think that they're extremely talented, but sometimes when you play their games, you feel like it's a quick time event simulator, and it's like a one-button simulator. They make the Naruto games, okay? Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm games, they make those where they're just so visually impressive and so cool, but then you get down to the actual mechanics and gameplay, you're like, this is the most basic thing that I've ever played. You know, so I do like their games, but I also hate their games at the same time, which is just so funny. But we've got some sales numbers for what they're going to do. There's a new title coming out in February. I can't wait to see what this is, man, because CyberConnect 2 definitely is one of the most, like I said, awesome companies, but can also be one of the most frustrating companies when it comes to when you actually play the Naruto games, at least. And they made Azura's Wrath. They made some pretty cool stuff. But yeah, let's talk about this. So CyberConnect 2 will announce a new game in February, which is planned for release around summer. Company president and CEO Hiroshi Matsuyama said during his Piro Live New Year's Eve special 2022 live stream. Now, according to the president, the new title to be announced will definitely get people talking and promises to be something that will shake the world. Oh my God. Oh no, shit. This man is hyping this up. What's going on? It's got to be like a new Naruto game. Is it like a new crazy Naruto game? Or what is it? Azura's Wrath 2? What could it be? And now I'm just like stumbling over myself because now he's saying stuff like shake the world. Oh man, he's going to shake the JRPG world, guys. Okay, let's go ahead and put that up for clickbait on the channel. Shake the JRPG world. Shake the Japanese industry. Shake the world with this Japanese made game. We'll figure out something to talk about this because this is just, now that I'm like extremely intrigued, and I'm surprised that more people didn't comment on this or more people haven't talked about this, but I'm going to talk about it right here. So in the same live stream, the president did also share sales numbers for several recent Cyber Connect 2 titles. So Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba, that game is awesome, surpassed 1.32 million units worldwide. Dragon Ball Z Kakarot surpassed 4.5 million units worldwide. The Nintendo Switch just got a port of that game as well, so definitely contributing to those numbers. Naruto Shippuden Ultimate Ninja Storm 4 has surpassed 8.7 million units worldwide, and I have no idea how it surpassed 8.7 million units worldwide. When's the next Naruto game? Can we make it with more in-depth, more combos and stuff? 8.7 million units. Just wait, hold up. Is this a typo? This has to be some type of typo. Is it not like all the Naruto Shippuden games? Or is this just Naruto Shippuden Ultimate Ninja Storm 4, 8.7 million units worldwide? I had no idea. I knew it sold well, but I didn't know it sold that well. But the game's been discounted for quite some time, and they haven't made anything new outside of like the little expansion for the Boruto and all that. So maybe he's combining everything together. But either way, very impressive. So, I mean, the next Naruto game, can we see it? No? Yes? No? We'll see. And then finally, the president did say that the company is planning measures for the 20th anniversary of the Dot Hack series in June, and that a Chaser game TV drama is currently in the works with sites set on fall 2023 air date. So there you go on there, guys. A game that's going to shock the world. Cyber Connect 2, they got the money flowing in. Cyber Connect 2 will always be in business. Somebody's always going to get them to make an anime game. It's always going to be kind of mid or a little bit above mid or whatever the case is, but it's going to look pretty. I mean, I will give it to Cyber Connect 2, man. They know how to make dramatic, epic pieces that get anime fans to buy the game. Even though it might not be the best game, they get anime fans to buy the game because the visuals are on point. The graphics are on point. That's why people rushing out there buying Demon Slayer and actually liking it. It's just simple enough for people to like. It's not a terrible game, but it ain't an amazing game. You know what I'm saying? So it's just kind of like a little bit above mid. That's what I call Cyber Connect 2, a bit above mid. It's still good games, kind of, but definitely you see the potential for them to do even more with their games, but shake the world. So I'm guessing that means the graphics are going to shake the world. So this is going to be PS5, this is going to be Xbox Series, and it's going to be impressive. That's what I'm guessing here, because when they were doing the Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm games at the time, people were very impressed. That shook the world graphically, shook the world gameplay wise, no, reviews wise, no. But graphically, they like to shake the world. So, I mean, I'm guessing it's something very impressive when it comes to how it looks on PlayStation 5 and how it looks on Xbox Series. So, we'll see what this is going forward, but it's got me definitely intrigued. So February, so we gotta wait about a month, but we'll see what it ends up being. So what are your thoughts on all the different topics that we had here today? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and we will see you for the next video. Peace.